What if you were told that life isn't random, that you've actually been playing a game and you've had the rules all along? There is a spiritual science to success, a divine design behind every step, every fall, and every victory. This isn't just about positive thinking, this is about spiritual law. If you're ready to stop struggling and start aligning with the forces that govern unseen realms, you're about to discover the ultimate guide to mastering the game of life and how to win it. Life is a spiritual game, not a battle. Most people live as though life were a constant fight, a tug of war with fate, with circumstances, with lack. They wear their struggles like armor, convinced that the harder they push, the more they will gain. But this idea is born not of truth, but of illusion. Life is not a battlefield. It is a playing field, governed by spiritual laws, invisible to the physical eye, yet precise and powerful beyond measure. In a battle, one must defend, attack, protect, and strive. In a game, one must understand the rules and apply them wisely. The moment you stop believing that you must fight for every inch and instead begin to align with divine principles, life starts to respond in miraculous ways. Where there was resistance, there is now ease. Where there was confusion, there is clarity. Where there was striving, there is flow. The spiritual laws that govern life are as exact as the law of gravity. Whether or not you believe in them, they operate. The law of cause and effect, the law of substitution, the law of non-resistance, and above all, the law of expectancy. These are not ideas. They are spiritual mechanics. The one who masters these laws becomes a skilled player in the game of life. They no longer fight circumstances. They command them. Life reflects the inner state of man. The outer world is a mirror of the thoughts and words he entertains in the inner chamber of the mind. When man thinks thoughts of fear, lack, and limitation, the mirror does not lie, it simply returns the image. But when he chooses thoughts of truth, abundance, and divine protection, the mirror shifts, and so does his reality. A player in the game of life understands that nothing comes to him unless it first exists in consciousness. He does not beg for blessings, he prepares for them. He does not fight against appearances, he speaks the word, and the word goes forth, unseen yet unstoppable. He does not say, "I hope this works." He says, "It is done." And so it is. To live life as a spiritual game is to live with inner mastery. It is to know that every person you meet, every event you face, every delay or detour is a piece on the board. They're not to harm you, but to teach you, to redirect you, or to confirm that your thought seeds are coming to harvest. Nothing is by chance, nothing is random, all is cause and effect in motion. When man treats life like a battle, he finds himself exhausted, bitter, and bruised by his own efforts. He begins to believe that good is reserved for the lucky or the powerful. But the spiritual player knows otherwise. He understands that he is not separate from his good. It is already his, waiting for him to become the right vibrational match. The spiritual game does not demand effort in the outer world as much as it demands discipline in the inner world. What are you thinking? What are you affirming? What are you expecting? These questions are more potent than strategy or ambition, because once the inner game is aligned, the outer game must conform. To the carnal mind, surrender feels like defeat. But to the spiritual mind, surrender is wisdom. When you stop struggling, you begin receiving. When you cease striving, you make space for divine timing. When you release the need to control, you make room for the perfect outcome to arrive. Life is not against you. It is responding to you. The rules of the game are already written. You need not rewrite them, only obey them. When you obey spiritual law, you are no longer a victim. You are a master player, moving through life not with fear, but with faith, not with force, but with flow. The battlefield mind will always say, "Try harder." The spiritual mind says, "Align deeper." Would you like this section turned into a narrated script or paired with another expanded key point? The power of the spoken word. In the beginning was the word. Not the thought, not the deed, but the word. Spoken language is not merely communication, it is creation. Every word uttered shapes substance in the invisible realm. Words carry vibration, and vibration attracts reality. The spoken word is the tool of manifestation, a divine force that reaches into the unseen and draws forth what is named. Man often speaks idly, casually, without awareness of the seeds he is planting with his tongue. Yet every word is a decree. Every complaint is an order sent to the universe. Every declaration is a mold into which the formless must flow. The one who understands this no longer speaks carelessly. He guards his words like treasure, for he knows that his tomorrow is hidden in today's affirmations. Words are not innocent. They either bless or bind. They either release or restrain. To say, "I never have enough," is to establish a law of limitation in one's life. To say, "I am always late," is to engrave disorganization into the fabric of one's days. And yet, when one says, "I walk in divine order and perfect timing," he sets into motion unseen forces that adjust all things to that new declaration. The subconscious mind, ever obedient, does not argue. It records and repeats. It acts upon the words fed to it with unwavering faith. If you speak of illness, it prepares the body to conform. If you speak of strength and vitality, it begins renewing cells. The tongue, then, is not merely a muscle, it is an instrument of law. What you speak consistently, you will live inevitably. Most people speak from appearances. They describe what they see, and in doing so, reinforce it. But the spiritual law does not instruct man to describe, it tells him to declare. Speak not of things as they are, but as they are meant to be under divine law. Do not say, "I'm afraid this will go wrong." Say instead, "All things work together for my good." The word of faith overrides the fact of fear. The power is not in the volume of the word, but in its conviction. One sentence, spoken with complete belief, is mightier than 1,000 spoken with doubt. It is not about repeating affirmations mindlessly. It is about speaking truth with authority, knowing that the word carries the creative essence of spirit itself. There is no greater force available to man than his ability to speak reality into form. Even in the face of contradiction, the spoken word holds power. To say, "I am prosperous," when the bank account is empty is not lying, it is aligning. It is declaring truth beyond appearances. And as appearances are subject to change, but truth is eternal, the truth will outlast the illusion. The word spoken in faith is not a wish, it is a command issued to the forces of the universe. The wise player in the game of life does not waste words. He speaks with precision, with purpose, with praise. He blesses what he wants to expand. He affirms what he desires to experience. He never speaks against his good, even for a moment, for every word is either a step toward the desired or a step away from it. When man speaks blessings over his life, over others, over situations, he becomes a channel of divine energy. His words uplift, transform, and magnetize. Even a single phrase, when spoken in truth, can shift the atmosphere. This situation is resolved under grace. I expect only miracles. Nothing is too good to be true. These are not just hopeful phrases, they are energetic codes that summon a new reality. The spoken word is man's tool for creation, correction, and completion. In it lies the ability to call forth what has not yet appeared. It is the key to moving mountains, healing relationships, dissolving fear, and attracting abundance. Let me know if you'd like this version refined into a script or delivered as part of a visual or audio format. Faith over fear. Faith and fear are not opposites. They are identical in structure, but opposite in direction. Both are belief systems, both are magnetic, and both shape reality. Faith expects the good, fear anticipates the worst. What you expect, you attract. The universe does not distinguish between the two. It simply delivers what matches your dominant vibration. When man is rooted in fear, he becomes entangled in appearances. He is tossed by circumstance, driven by doubt, and shadowed by what-ifs. Fear whispers lies, magnifies problems, and blinds the soul to divine possibility. It builds walls around blessings and shrinks the vision of what could be. Yet fear, for all its noise, has no substance, only borrowed power from belief. Faith, by contrast, is divine vision. It sees beyond the visible. It holds the picture of truth even when facts scream otherwise. Faith does not wait for proof. It is the proof. It is the inner knowing that what is not yet seen is already accomplished in spirit. Faith walks into darkness with a lamp in hand, certain that every step is guided. It makes no demands, but trusts completely in the perfect unfolding of every detail. There is no situation so tangled that faith cannot untie it. No illness, debt, delay, or difficulty can withstand the vibration of unwavering belief. Faith does not plead, it proclaims. It says, "This too is working for my good," and so it does. Faith does not fight the storm, it walks on the waves. To choose faith over fear is to choose freedom over bondage. Fear binds the imagination to the worst-case scenario. It loops the mind into worry, then makes the body sick with stress. Faith liberates. It untangles thought, soothes the heart, and brings the mind into peace. From that peace, wisdom flows, solutions appear, doors open. What once seemed impossible begins to take shape. Fear is a habit, but so is faith. One must practice faith like a musician practices scales, daily, deliberately, and with discipline. Speak words of faith even when fear is loud. Say, "I walk by faith and not by sight." Say, "Every need is met before I speak it." Say, "Nothing and no one can block what is mine by divine right." These words do not merely comfort, they create. When man feels afraid, he must not analyze the fear. He must not wrestle it. He must replace it. Replace the thought with its spiritual opposite. Where there is fear of lack, affirm abundance. Where there is fear of rejection, affirm divine acceptance. Where there is fear of failure, affirm inevitable success. The mind cannot serve two masters. What you feed will grow. Faith is not passive, it is active. It takes bold steps, even when the outcome is unclear. It says yes to opportunities, yes to healing, yes to change. It does not wait for perfect conditions. It makes conditions perfect by trusting in divine timing. Faith sees delay as preparation, not punishment. It recognizes that divine order is always working, even behind closed doors. To walk in faith is not to deny difficulty, but to deny it authority. The facts may say one thing, but truth says another. Facts can change. Truth is eternal. Faith aligns with truth. It does not crumble under contradiction. It holds the vision. It stays the course. It speaks what is not yet visible until the invisible becomes visible. Fear says, "What if it goes wrong?" Faith says, "Even this shall bless me." Fear says, "It's too late." Faith says, "My timing is divine." Fear says, "I am alone." Faith says, "I am guided, guarded, and provided for." The world may run on fear, but the soul runs on faith. It is the soul's natural state, to trust, to believe, to expect good. Faith is not a feeling, it is a choice, a stance, a spiritual posture. Divine guidance is always available. There is within every soul a silent compass, unseen, unfailing, untouched by fear or noise. It does not shout, but it never lies. It is the voice of divine intelligence, speaking softly through intuition, impressions, hunches, and sudden knowing. This voice is not reserved for the few, it belongs to all. Divine guidance is not a gift, it is a law. It flows constantly, like a spiritual current, always available to those who choose to listen. To receive divine guidance, man must quiet the outer noise. The world is filled with opinions, warnings, distractions, and fear-driven advice, but the inner world is still. The answers dwell in silence, not in striving, not in panic, but in pause. When the mind is calm, even briefly, intuition speaks, and when it speaks, it brings peace, not pressure. Divine guidance is never frantic. It does not demand. It directs, it does not confuse, it confirms. The still small voice often appears as a gentle tug, a phrase that repeats, a sudden feeling of yes or no. It may come through symbols, dreams, or coincidences too precise to ignore. Some call it instinct, others call it gut feeling, but it is divine. It is the soul's native language. It knows where to go, when to move, what to release, and what to claim. The one who trusts this inner guidance walks with confidence, even when the path is unclear. He may not see the entire staircase, but he takes the first step, and as he moves in faith, the next step appears. This is the nature of divine direction. It unfolds in motion. It rarely delivers a blueprint. It provides a breadcrumb. Follow it, and the way will open. Doubt is the enemy of divine guidance. When man second-guesses the voice within, he delays his good. He asks for signs, then explains them away. He feels the nudge, then buries it under logic. But guidance requires trust. It does not always make sense to the intellect because it does not come from the intellect. It comes from spirit, which sees the end from the beginning. Guidance is always available, but it cannot be forced. It flows when man surrenders, when he stops demanding answers and begins affirming truth. Say, "Infinite intelligence now shows me the way." Say, "I am divinely led in all that I do." These words open the channel, allowing divine wisdom to flow freely. The more you affirm guidance, the more it reveals itself. There is no such thing as coincidence in the realm of spirit. What appears random is often divine orchestration. That delay you didn't want may have saved you. That detour may have delivered you. That closed door may have protected you from unseen harm. Divine guidance is not always comfortable, but it is always correct. When man aligns with divine will, things begin to move. The right people appear, the perfect timing unfolds, resources show up seemingly out of nowhere. The way is made smooth, not by human effort, but by divine order. And through it all, a deep inner knowing remains. I am being led. You do not need to have all the answers. You only need to trust the one who does. Guidance is not about control, it is about communion. It is about walking closely with the infinite, in quiet trust, in humble obedience, in joyful expectancy. Let me know when you're ready for the final expanded key point. Non-resistance leads to miracles. Non-resistance leads to miracles. Resistance is the silent saboteur of blessings. It appears as frustration, worry, control, and fear, but beneath all of these is a refusal to let things be. Man, in his limited understanding, believes he must wrestle with life. He resists what he does not like, fights what he does not understand, and clings to what he should have released. Yet what he resists persists. What he allows transforms. To resist is to tighten the flow. It is to stand in the river and demand the current go backward. Resistance is always rooted in the belief that life must unfold a certain way at a certain time through a certain method. But spirit knows no such limits. The infinite way is beyond the narrow mind. When man surrenders resistance, he steps aside and lets the higher order take command. Non-resistance is not weakness. It is not passivity or apathy. It is not giving up. It is giving over. It is handing the situation to the divine and saying, "Do as you will, for your will is perfect." It is the deepest form of spiritual strength to walk through storms without flinching, to meet delays with calm, and to face rejection with a blessing. When man meets difficulty with resistance, he multiplies the energy of the problem. He feeds the very condition he wishes to dissolve, but when he meets it with non-resistance, the energy shifts. the struggle softens, the situation begins to lose its grip. What you bless, you release. What you accept, you neutralize. Non-resistance is the secret doorway through which miracles slip in unnoticed. There is a divine lesson in every delay, a hidden gift in every disappointment. But these treasures are invisible to the one who is fighting. Non-resistance is the posture of one who trusts the outcome without needing to control the process. It is the decision to keep peace regardless of what is happening outwardly, and peace is magnetic. It draws the perfect solution without effort. Consider the one who is wronged. He may lash out, demand justice, or replay the offense in his mind again and again. But in doing so, he ties himself to the very energy he wants to escape. Yet the one who blesses the offender and releases the grievance cuts the cord and rises above the conflict. Non-resistance liberates the soul and returns power to its rightful place. To bless a problem is not to approve of it, it is to stop empowering it. When man blesses the situation, he invites divine intervention. Say, this situation is handled under grace. Say, I resist nothing, for all is being made right through divine law. These are not empty words, they are acts of spiritual authority. They untangle the web of resistance and make way for the miraculous. Non-resistance allows divine timing to unfold. Often, when something appears to go wrong, it is simply going right in a way the conscious mind cannot yet perceive. What seems like a closed door may be the redirection to something far greater. What looks like a loss may be the seed of increase. The non-resistant soul does not panic when plans shift. He flows, he adapts, he trusts. When you release your grip, life places something better in your hands, but the clenched fist cannot receive. Open your hands, open your heart. Let go of the need to be right, the urge to control, the habit of forcing. Say yes to what is, and the miracle behind it will reveal itself. Non-resistance is the bridge between turmoil and transformation. It is the invisible key that unlocks situations too complex for logic to solve. It moves mountains not by force, but by faith. It does not fight life. It yields to a greater wisdom, and in doing so, becomes unstoppable. Let me know if you'd like all 5 sections compiled into a formatted guide or adapted into a full script or audio narrative. The game of life is not a test, it is a revelation. It reveals who you believe yourself to be, what laws you obey, and what truths you declare. You do not win by striving, struggling, or striving to outmaneuver fate. You win by remembering who you are, a divine player in a divinely ordered universe. Speak the word of truth and let it be final. Replace fear with faith, not once, but daily. Trust the inner voice, for it is never wrong. Release resistance, and miracles will move freely. Life responds not to effort, but to alignment. Your supply, your health, your relationships, your path, they are already complete in the invisible. Your work is to align, to believe, and to expect. There are no accidents, no delays, no denials in the divine. All that is meant for you is already prepared. When you walk in truth, life bends to meet you. Doors open, conditions change, circumstances rearrange, because the one who plays by spiritual law never plays in vain. Now walk forward, not with anxiety, but with assurance, not in doubt, but in dominion. You are not at the mercy of life, you are the master of it. The game is already yours to win.